Why does Caroline Flint, one of your MPs then, say that Labour risks alienating many traditional Labour supporters if you don't get behind the referendum result and actually show them that you believe in leaving the European Union in a way that voters think is what they asked for at the referendum?
Look, I think Caroline is right that we have to be clear with voters. We are leaving the European Union. There is no question about that. Labour has been consistent in that right from the beginning after the referendum result. We said we will honour it. And everything that we have done since then, whether it's about talking about the meaningful vote in Parliament, whether it's talking about the triggering of Article 50, or every single vote that we've had in Parliament, all the things that we've put forward have been about leaving the European Union. We've said very clearly that we want to stay in a customs union with the European Union in the future. We want a new customs union with them, but one in which we would be co-decision makers, not one in which we simply are rule takers.
Because staying in a customs union is what some people, including yourself in the past, have described being a vassal state. You think you can be part of making the rules as well?
Let's just get the quotes right. Vassal state referred to EEA, and it did so because the EEA option would actually have less control. We would be bound by the regulations, but we would have no seat at the table in deciding what those regulations were. The customs union is about tariffs and quotas between ourselves as part of the customs union with the other countries, but also about the common tariffs and quotas that we set for countries vis-à-vis third-party countries that want to import and export
I'm glad you brought up the European Economic Area, because there's going to be a vote in the Lords next week on an amendment saying that the UK should stay as part of the EEA. How is the Labour leadership advising their peers to vote on that amendment? Because it's not abundantly clear at the moment.
No, it is actually. It's very clear at the moment. We've said that we should not vote to stay in the EEA, and there are a number of reasons for that. And that is, one, because actually, as I've just said to you, we would be a rule taker. We would have to be bound by what's called the acquis, the regulations, but we would have no say in making those regulations.
Yet about 40 of your peers appear to be ready to vote for that. They would be defying the leadership if they do that, and presumably, given what you've been saying to us earlier, confusing voters about where Labour stands on Brexit.
I think that's right, and that's why we've been very clear from the leadership, and Jeremy's been absolutely clear, we should not vote for a substantive amendment that talks about staying in the European Economic Area. We want to be part of a new customs union with the EU because we want to protect jobs. We want to protect the economy and the livelihoods of those workers whose jobs actually depend on that just-in-time supply chain that goes backwards and forwards across from the rest of the continent of Europe into the UK. That's essential to protect economic growth. But what is not essential is that you are a rule taker and that you have no seat at the table. What's not essential is...
Let's just quickly go back to the local election results and Labour's performance. I know you'll tell us all the areas in which you did particularly well. Does the party, though, need to look at the areas you didn't do so well in and work out how you could perform better? Is a post-mortem necessary now?
Sarah, of course it does.
Because that didn't happen after the 2017 election.
We will be looking very, very carefully. The 2017 election, we had a general election very quickly afterwards.
No, but even after the general election, which, although you made advances, you didn't win, the party's never really looked at why.
Well, no, I don't think that's the case, actually. But what you've said is absolutely right. But I do want to sort of lay to bed this myth. Your website, the BBC website, has, as it's still on there, currently live, saying that the final poll, the parties are neck and neck. And then immediately after that, it then says Labour won 2,350 seats, gained 77. The Conservatives won 1,322 seats, lost 33.
As you know, there are many ways to interpret these results, but what many of the expert phonologists have done is said, if we were to use this as the evidence and extrapolate it towards,
That's what they've said.
No, they say it on the. Sorry, they say the parties are practically neck and neck. They would be roughly the same size, and it would practically be on a coin toss. You would not have an overall majority on the projection of these results.
Sarah, what your own chief projection pollster has said is that on these results, now, they're local elections, I accept that. They're only partial figures. But on these results, the Labour Party would be the party of government. We would gain seats. The Conservatives would lose even the majority that they've cobbled together with the DUP. So I think it's fairly clear that the idea that this was a bad set of results for Labour is simply not true. I know many people wanted them to be.